going on, ladies and gentlemen? Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? It's your boy Cal Griffin. Yeah, we here with another edition of Legends Talk, man. I took a little hiatus, you know what I'm saying? But we back. We back in a major way. We always love to show love to our New York City brethren. And today is no different. Today we have a legendary player out of Brooklyn, New York, originally, and he made his mark on this game, and we want to give him his flowers. So stay tuned. Make sure you go grab your popcorn, grab your drinks, whatever you're gonna do. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you tune in. Because tonight we got Mr. Allen Griffin, everybody, Mr. Allen Griffin. But yeah, we're gonna get right into it. Legends Talk, y'all. Tune in. Allen Griffin, what's going on, champ? How you, man?
What's good, Kyle? How's everything?
I'm good, man. I'm good. You got a great last name there, by the way, man.
I know, right? We got to be kin somewhere down the road, man.
Somewhere down the line. You know what I'm saying? Somewhere down the line.
No doubt about it. No doubt.
But thank you for taking some time out of your busy schedule to come kick it with me. I really appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? You could be anywhere in the world. You here with me though.
I like that.
That's a big thing, man.
From another Brooklyn guy, you know.
What'd you say?
I said from another Brooklyn guy.
Oh yeah, I mean I'm a New York City guy. I'm a Harlem guy, but I show love to everybody, man. Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island, Long Island. Everybody across the board. New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, everywhere, man. I just got a passion for this game, and this game. A lot of people touch this game, and you, sir, you made your mark, man, and that's what we're here to talk about.
All right, man. I appreciate you having me, and I look forward to our session here. It's a long time coming. I know we try to reach out.
Yeah. We here now. Don't worry about none of that, man.
But we here, and let's get it.
All right, no doubt, man. Before we get into it, man, I'd like to we gotta send some love over to our sponsor, Soul Pack. Soul Pack is a hell of a bag company, man. They have some really dope bags with the basketball hooper in mind. Definitely check them out. They got some fire bags, man. So everybody, make sure you go out there and check them out on the web. You can find them at thesoulpack.com, and their IG page is at Soulpack. So we're gonna get into a quick commercial for Soul Pack, and right after that, we are going to be back. Legends Talk with Allen Griffin, y'all. Check us out.
Crazy Boy Productions.
That was Soul Pack, y'all. Again, check them out on the net, thesoulpack.com, and on social media, specifically Instagram, they're at Soul Pack. So definitely check them out. But yeah, man, with no further ado, appreciate you, man. We got Mr. Paul Robeson High School himself. You know what I'm saying? Championships, two division championships, state finals. You scored more than 1,000 career points at the high school. You matriculated to Syracuse University, where you played 4 years, correct?
Correct. Yep.
4-year player at Syracuse, and some way, somehow, you went through your you even went overseas for a stint. And you found your way back to Syracuse, and now you're assistant coach at Syracuse. much salute to you. And you know what I'm saying? We here, man. Legends talk.
Yeah, man, it's been a journey, and I've stopped in so many places and been so many places, but I ended up back to a place where, it wasn't great at times, but it wasn't the worst at times. It it,
Right.
it kind of made me the person I am today, and that's Syracuse, New York, and I'm very fortunate and appreciative of being a part of one, the Syracuse community, the Syracuse University community, and obviously the athletic department here at Syracuse for so many years. They've opened up their arms, back in '90, whatever it was. I don't even want to age myself, but they opened up their arms, and the thing about it is that they never, they never closed them, and the arms
Right, right.
have open ever since. And I'm very appreciative, and I'm very blessed to be here.
Right, right, no doubt, as you should, man. You know what I'm saying? Coming from the, inner city like Brooklyn, New York, at during that time period that we, that you don't want to specify right now, but it was a rough time period. So,
Uh,
coming from that time period to to a place like Syracuse University, you know what I'm saying, it's kind of day and night, and it helps shape you.
oh, definitely. And the one thing about it is that coming from Brownsville, I grew up in Brownsville, Brooklyn, and I had so many people who knew that I was an athlete, and I was pretty good at what I did. They protected me in so many ways, and not protection meaning, oh, they're gonna fight for me or this and that. It's one of those things where if they see me going in the wrong direction or
Right,
moving
right,
in the wrong direction, they kind of saying like, listen, that's not you. Go home, man. You
right,
know,
right,
do the right thing. That's what you do.
right, right, right.
And I'm so appreciative for those people. And those are some of the closest people. Every time I come back to my neighborhood, I make sure that I do see them and I do spend time with them. And I do, at times I do take them out of their environment and we go out and hang out in the city and kind of live it up, so to speak. And it's just my appreciation to them saying thank you for
Right.
that they've done for me.
No doubt, man. Even, even those guys who saw you, and if there was some trouble, coming around the block or something like that, they'll, what I'm saying, they'll tell you like, yo, get out of here. It's about to be,
No doubt, no doubt. I had
yeah,
And the crazy thing is that again, I say it, and I'm gonna say it throughout our time here, is that I'm very fortunate, and I'm very fortunate to having so many guys that were able to tell me and kind of almost mold me in a way to saying like, listen, this is your way out. This is the way to get to you know uh, life, not as we know it. You know what I mean?
right, right.
Uh,
The real world.
the real world, and I
Right,
get it, and I love it. And the thing about it is I'm always appreciative of where I come from and the environment that I come from, and so forth, so forth. But again, I'm one of the blessed ones.
no doubt, no doubt. So you said Brooklyn, New York, Brownsville, to be exact. We're gonna rewind. We're gonna rewind all the way to the beginning, right? What I'm saying, let's start from the very, very beginning. When did you fall in love with this game, man, of basketball that we know that you fell in love with, and who introduced you to it?
Wow, it's crazy.
I can't hear. I can't. All right, all right. You back. I couldn't hear you for a second.
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah. My phone was ringing, so.
All right, all right.
But um, I was a baseball guy, man. I love baseball. So coming up, I played baseball at first, and then my uncle Al, um, he was a basketball guy, and like so he used to take me to Kingston Park. Um, in early morning Saturday mornings when I used to play with the older guys.
Right.
And the one thing I'll never forget, I was wild. I can only go right, and I'm playing with the older guys, and I'm going right, and I beat one of the older guys, and I basically almost get clotheslined. And
Right.
my man, he pulled me over. He was like, "Nah," he's like, "Young fella, we're gonna play this game the right way. Okay, you're gonna come off a screen. If you beat me off a screen, then you know what? You good. But you in isolations and doing all that stuff, we ain't for that. You're gonna learn how to play the game the right way." And from that moment, again, like as early, this was probably when I was like 16 years old. Um, I started to learn how to play the game of basketball pretty much the right way in terms of using screens, setting screens, how to set my guy up, coming off screens and stuff like that. So, I can contribute a lot of that to my uncle Al, early on.
Shout out to him, man, because you definitely made your name. You know what I'm saying, with respects to the basketball world, you definitely stuck out in that world, and you know what I'm saying, and took it as far as you could take it. Now, when like in terms of the basketball, in terms of like knowing that you want to be surrounded by this game, for the rest of your life, or, people call it married to the game. When did you get married to the game and realize, like, listen, this is what I want to do. I want to stay involved in the games one way or another. When did that become a reality for you?
You know what? That game of reality when it's crazy is I'm not sure if you're familiar with Brooklyn, USA, with Ziggy
Yeah.
and with Ziggy and Tippy. When they hit the scenes early on.
Tippy's still out there doing his thing as well. I'll be seeing him all the time.
Do that to the day he dies. So it's that like listen, I already know what Tip gonna do. And Zig too.
Zig too.
They both were very passionate about basketball, and especially basketball from Brooklyn. And when Tip and Zig hit the scene, they created such a buzz and the environment that they created with some of the best players in Brooklyn, let alone some of the best players in New York City. They used to have them in the Bedford Y, and I'll never forget, we had a guy named Sonny Lewis. God rest his soul. Sonny was from like the Brevoort area, and Sonny was teaching people how to do the crossover. That's the first time I learned like Tim Hardaway, Killer crossover, and we had a kid. We had a couple of guys from Brownsville, Deshaun from Brownsville, Deshaun Williams, I think his last name is, and then we had Trevor Diggs from
Yeah.
those guys are more advanced. They started at an earlier age than me in terms of basketball, so they were doing this crossover, and I was like, I'm in the back of the line, and I'm nervous. You got Sonny running it, and this is at the Bedford Y with Tippy and Ziggy, running the Brooklyn USA program, and I left there, and the crazy thing is, I left there feeling like the worst player there at that time, and we had about, at my age group, 20 to 25 kids. I walked out of there honestly, Kyle, like the worst player. And that's when I said, you know what, I love this shit. Like,
Right.
like I love it. Like, and that's the competitive spirit in me, like eventually, bro, I'm gonna break through. Like,
Right.
I just knew because of who, my competitive nature, and so that would be pretty much the first time where I can say, like, I fell in love with the game and felt like this is what I wanted to do.
Wow, that's fire. That's fire, man. Now everybody knows, if you know basketball, in the '90s, mid to late '90s, or whatever the case may be, you know that you were a standout at Paul Robeson High School, in Brooklyn, New York, and at that time you were playing for Coach Larry Majors, God bless. But how did he, help you and motivate you into becoming the player that you wanted to become?
So I'll tell you, it's a funny story about me and Mage's relationship, and how we kind of got connected at the hip, so to speak. And I was being recruited to play everywhere. I went to LaSalle to take the entry exam. I got recruited into going into Bishop Loughlin, um, and so forth. So, and my zone school was Wingate,
Right.
and where I was at in Brownsville. So, um, Mage came to one of our Brooklyn USA practices, and Mage and Zig had this great relationship where Mage basically was like, he saw me playing and he was like, "Yo, Zig, that's the dude I want. That's the dude that's gonna help me take my program." Which he already had the likes of Todd Miles, Shamil
Right.
Jones, Jamil. So he had already great guys, great players. But he kind of looked at me and was like, "That's the guy that's gonna help me take my program to another level." And when Mage came to my place in Brownsville, and I'll never forget. It was like a Saturday morning, and he brought a case, like a 6-pack of Coronas, because Mage liked drinking Coronas, and he sat in front of my place that morning and drank a 6-pack of Coronas and talked to my aunt, my grandmother, and everybody that was involved in me.
Right. Right.
Told them why it was important for me to come to Paul Robeson. And for somebody that was willing to do that, and knowing where I grew up at and how crazy it was, and Mays did not care, you know what I mean? And that's why I love him to this day, and I miss him so much. But that was Mays, man. Like, and that was one of the reasons why I went the road.
No, that's dope. You know what I'm saying? Like when I'm a little bit younger than you are, so when you were coming up, it's just like literally hearing, yeah, I'm in Harlem, you're in Brooklyn, but and at that time there's no social media. Everything is word of mouth. So, being at those practices and those games and those AAU programs like Riverside Gauchos, Brooklyn USA, you start hearing the names, you start hearing the whispers, and Allen Griffin was one of those names that I was hearing. You know what I'm saying? So definitely, definitely salute to everything that you've been able to accomplish, man. Now, talking about Paul Robeson, how did the recruiting process go for you? We all, everybody knows that you had much success over at Paul Robeson. When did the schools start to get interested in, courting you and trying to get you over to their program?
Yeah, you know what? My freshman year, and a lot of that had to, you know, a lot of that came from the guys that was there before me. Todd Miles, who was a really good player. Shamel Jones, who was really good. Jamil Watkins, all those guys that were there at Rowe before I got there. So when the college coaches was coming to see them, in their workouts and practices, they would see me,
Right.
and I think that I kind of had some impact in terms of our practices, and that's where they started to take notice of me, and I would say this too. The one great thing about Mage, he was great at keeping us together, and a lot of local things we did. And the one local thing that we did was we played IS8.
Right.
Played in IS8 as a high school team, and we would play against the Gauchos, Long Island Panthers, all those guys where they had a mixture of the great players, but
Yeah.
we were playing with my high school team, and obviously word of mouth got about that too. So big shout out to IS8. But it was one of those things where I can attribute a lot of that to the guys that played before me, and if they weren't as great a players as they were, it probably wouldn't have got out as fast as it got out. But I was very fortunate to put myself in a situation where I was able to get, college coaches, inquiring about me at a very early age, being a freshman.
Right. So they came for somebody else, wound up seeing this other like, who's that?
Yeah. Who's this stud? No, I'm just playing.
Hey man, you can toot your own horn. This is what this is for, man. Toot your own horn, brother.
Now, if you know me, I'm a very modest person, which to be honest with you, I don't even play basketball no more, man. I golf, man. I play as much golf as I can because, again, like what the game has brought me, it's put me in a position where I would have never thought about, coming up in Brooklyn, and I'm very appreciative, and I'm happy at all the things that I've accomplished.
Right.
Years at playing it. So
yeah, they don't play golf in Brooklyn, man.
No. I don't even know the nearest golf course in Brooklyn.
So with that said, man, it's no secret that you went to Syracuse. How long, was this like one of your dream schools? I know a lot of the kids from the city, Syracuse is always up on the top of the list with respects to, quality programs. You got Jim Boeheim, sorry, legendary coach. And one of the best coaches will probably goes down in the Basketball Hall of Fame when it's all said and done. But when were you sold on? Were you always sold on Syracuse, or like what other schools were recruiting you around that time, and what kind of like sold you on Syracuse and make you choose them?
So the crazy thing is coaches already inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Mm.
So he's, that's great, and not a lot of people can say they play for or they work for a Hall of Fame coach. You know what I mean? So
right.
But what sold me on Syracuse first, I originally committed to UNLV.
Wow.
And I left to go do my senior year in Vegas. I went to Durango High School for I left Robe, and I went to Durango High School for 2.5 months, 3 months, if that.
Mm.
I missed everybody back home. I wasn't ready to leave, so I kind of went back. And my uncle, who was living in Vegas, I went to go live with him. He kind of understood everything, and it was all good. So, going back the road, but, getting back to, Syracuse, Pearl Washington was one of my idols, coming up. His brother Beetle lived directly across the street from me. Whenever I used to play on the monkey bars, because that's where I learned how to play basketball.
Right.
Monkey bars across the street from me. Beetle would come through with his daughters, and he would be like, they used to call me Bird in my neighborhood in Brooklyn. And he was like, "You're Bird, like, let me talk to you, my brother Pearl, blah, blah, blah." And I used to be like, "Yeah, Pearl, blah, blah, blah." And I never put it together, but, Pearl was that guy,
Right.
So Beetle kind of got me interested in Syracuse. And once I learned a lot more about Pearl, I was like, and being from Brownsville, I always thought about Syracuse. And I came to Syracuse on an unofficial as a junior. And once I came on unofficial, I always knew where I wanted to be, and long story short, I went to Vegas. I committed to Vegas. I decommitted to Vegas. Syracuse had a spot, which I was very happy for, and I ended up at the Cuse, and the rest is history.
Right, the rest is history, and what I'm saying, you can't rewrite history. You know what I'm saying? You can't do it. What's done is done.
No, no doubt.
You had a very respectable career at Syracuse. Like I said before, four-year player for Jim Boeheim. You know what I'm saying? You were a point guard, and pretty much I would say that, a point guard is an extension of the coach on the floor. So you just kind of you're pretty much Jim Boeheim on the floor, right? And you're learning from him, and just kind of just soaking all of that knowledge in. Um, Now, what was some of the moments that you can say that you remember about your Syracuse career that kind of stood out to you?
Yeah, you know what the great thing about my Syracuse career is that I dealt with adversity in my years here, and it kind of shaped and mold the man that you're talking to now,
Right,
um, but it was I've met my best friend, one of my best friends is Jason Hart, who lives in LA, who coaches at USC.
right,
That's a kid that's living in California, who grew up in California. And I grew up in New York, and he was, he's my best friend. Like I talk to him every day, pretty much, and 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 coming to Syracuse, it allowed me to form and create those relationships. Like another one is Ryan Blackwell, who is basically is people's from Chicago. He grew up in Rochester, but he went to Syracuse, and I play with him now. He's back here. He works in the city, but I'm able to be around one of my best friends here. So Syracuse allowed me to create and form some really great relationships. Adrian Autry, New York City guy, uh,
right,
you know what I mean, from Harlem, and now he's my best friend. I get to work with my best friend, and you know what? Syracuse created that opportunity. So I'm again very fortunate to be able to have those relationships and create those relationships through my time here at Syracuse. And you know what? And that wouldn't be allowed if it wasn't for a guy like Jim Boeheim and his greatness and his ability to continue to coach and coach now today,
right, right.
and coach over the years. So again, like I'm very fortunate to being a part of that.
Right. No, absolutely. And well said. And when during your career, don't while you're playing, did you ever, every kid's dream to play professionally. You know what I'm saying? Whether that be NBA or overseas or what have you. At what point, during your career in college, did you, did that NBA kind of dream kind of go away a little bit, or did you maintain that dream, or at what point did it say, all right, well, that's not my reality right now. I need to make some other things happen.
I was always realistic. I was always one of those kids that thought outside the box, and for our box coming up, in the inner city, it was like we felt like if we didn't make the pros, we were done. Like our lives were over,
Right, right, right,
and I was always able to put people around me who weren't uh, athletes but successful in life, and again, I was fortunate with that. So um, I never put all my eggs in making the NBA because I knew eventually, even if I did make the NBA, um, I would always have a cutoff point where it's over. I won't be able to play or
right,
compete no more. So I would have to be able to do something else, and that was installed in me at an early age. So um, I just always had that in mind. So it stuck with me, and I was able to, you know, going through my experiences that I did at Syracuse, I always had it in the back of my mind that I wanted to always give back and be a coach or be a part of, some part of basketball.
Right.
And that's how I went about my experiences here, within the staff with coach and the guy who I spent a lot of time with, Mike Hopkins, who's the head coach at Washington, University of Washington. Um, we were always he would always prepare me for that moment. Not to say, oh, you know what, after you're done here, you'll never play in the NBA. But it was like one of those things where it would always prepare me to saying, okay, eventually you're gonna come down this road, and I want to prepare you for that.
Mm.
And that's my guy forever because of that.
That's a solid friend, or partner in crime or what have you, to tell you the real and give you that advice. You know what I'm saying? No, that's a solid person right there.
No.
Now after your college career was done, was wrapped up after your 4 years, you played professionally in Slovenia for 1 year. Now, how was that experience for you? And kind of what made you what made you say, yo, this is, it's a wrap for this, and want to kind of go into a different direction, which involved coaching?
Like my experience in Slovenia was great because I played for a legendary Eastern European coach, and I played for a great organization in Union Olympia in Slovenia, which is a EuroLeague team. I had a couple of guys who, played in the NBA. So it was a great experience for me. But the business side of basketball took its toll on me at that time. And I got hurt. And as soon as I got hurt, this is the crazy part, there was 2 or 3 dudes on their way out there for tryouts. You know what I mean? And working out with the team. So it was one of those things where the business side, I was just like, you know what, it's too cutthroat. I always played basketball for the love of it. And I didn't understand the business of it at
Right.
that point. Or I did understand it, but I didn't take it as serious as I needed to. And that how, it's cutthroat and that's just the nature of it. And once I got a glimpse of that, I was just like, you know what, I'm done.
Right.
So yeah, and that's when I kind of came back. I coached the 8th grade girl. Coach got me some opportunities to making some money. The Syracuse community. I coached a local high school team here, 8th grade girls team, and that was the beginning of my coaching experience.
Nah, that's solid. That was CBA, right?
Yeah, CBA high school. Yep.
Right. Cool, man. Now you first get your first taste of coaching with the 8th grade girls basketball team that you coach. Now, fast forward a little bit. Now when you were at Dayton, Coach Archie Miller, who was at the time the head coach of Dayton, he left. He departed from that school, and he went to coach Indiana,
Yep.
Indiana University, or University of Indiana, whatever it is. Can you? And a lot of people thought that you were gonna kind of follow him there,
Right.
and that was probably a possibility. But can you explain what led you back to Syracuse after having success elsewhere? What led you back to the Cuse, and to kind of go into the direction that you went into?
Yeah, you know what? When Coach Miller took the Indiana job, he had some opportunity to, kind of get to interview a bunch of other guys that have a lot more experience than I did, even though I did spend 6 years with him, and high level, assistants across the country, because again, Indiana was a great job. And just so happened, in me and Coach's process, meaning Arch, uh, Mike Hopkins took the job at Washington, and once we found out that, Coach Boeheim called me and asked me would I be interested, and I said, "Shit, hell yeah, I would be interested. That's a dream of mine, to be able to coach alma mater and obviously coach, with a Hall of Famer and get to be in meetings with a Hall of Famer every day. Like, you know what I mean? Like the wealth of knowledge in every meeting, uh, it's been unbelievable. Like, you know what I mean? Uh,
Right.
and so when and when I went back to coach Arch, when I went back to Arch and I said, "Hey, Arch, listen, Coach reached out to me about the opportunity." Arch, he basically was like, "Yo, Griff, listen, you got to take the job.
Right.
You got to go." He always knew that in the back of my mind. That's always been in my heart and one of the things that I wanted to do. So, Coach Miller made it easy for me.
Right.
And it made it easy for himself too, because now it's one of those things where he didn't have to think about me because I was with him with 6 years, and we did recruit the all-time winningest class at Dayton, and
Mm.
and we won a lot of games, went to the Elite Eight. We had success. We had we won the league title 2 or 3 years in a row. Like, so we had a lot of success, and
Right. Right.
but it was one of those things where Arch was looking out for my best interest in terms of telling me, you got to do it. You got to go back to that'll be one thing for you that you need to do, and I'm always indebted to him because of that. Some guys could be selfish and be like, because of the success that we had over the years, be like, no, you
Can't
can't
break this up. Yeah, you can't break this up.
me. Nah, yeah. But Arch, he was one of those guys that, was always looking out for my best interest. And he was like, oh, dude, you got to do that. So I appreciate all that.
No, that's a and even before that, you went to back in like '03. You were the director of basketball operations at Syracuse, or something along those lines.
Yep.
And, and
Yep. Yeah. I'm sorry.
no, I was going to say, and I mean, just because you wanted to kind of I guess you wanted to get your feet wet with respects to the basketball world or what have you. I know you wanted that job. I know you wanted that job.
It started. What's the saying? Started from the bottom.
Now we here.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is like, it humbled me right away because it was players that I played with that I helped Syracuse recruit that on their visits when I was here as a player was on those teams. And then I'll tell you the humbling experience because the guy previous to me, the guys that was in that position, you know, when coach pull up to the bus, those guys came and got coach's bag from his car and
Right.
put it on the bus. And it was the one time where I'm sitting on the bus, I'm thinking I'm a player still. And somebody came back and was like, "Yo, Griff, you gotta go help coach with his bags." And I'm like, "What?"
It's like, oh,
That's just the nature of the business. Like, you got to go do that. And I'm getting off the bus, and I know that it's guys that I play with that's looking at me, going to help coach and grab his bags and put it on the bus. But you know what? Again, I would never change that experience for anything because it helped me in so many ways. Um, able to achieve what I've achieved, on this side of the game and continue to achieve, because we got to take ourselves outside of the player mode and put ourselves in the coach mode. And sometimes it's hard.
of course, and I mean you've been to a number of different schools. You coached at St. Francis College. You coached at Providence, Hofstra. Before you got to actually land the position at Cuse. How were those experiences in comparison to your experience at Cuse with being the assistant at Cuse? Was it all just kind of like setting you up for where you are now, or was it how was it? How was that experience for you?
It totally set me up because when I was at Cuse and I was at that role, administrative assistant, basketball, whatever that was, you know, the job opened up because Troy Weaver, after they won a national championship, I came the year after that, and Troy got uh, the Jazz assistant general manager, and I went
Wow.
to coach, and I was like, Coach, I think I'm ready I can do it. And coach was like, I need somebody with pretty much more experience, and I had to respect that. He was like, and he basically was like, listen, at that time, he was like, I'm too old to teach a guy how to be an assistant,
Right.
you know, and that resonated with me. So when I got my opportunities to be an assistant at St. Francis, um, think about this, bro. Like I was only making $6,000 a year at working at St. Francis that year.
Wow. Wow.
I made $6,000 a year, and but I got full health benefits, and I had a son at that time. So and I had some other circumstances that helped me kind of get by while I was there that year, and it opened up the door for me to go into Providence, and the rest is history. Uh,
That's paying your dues, man.
no doubt. But again, um, it's just I started from the bottom, man. And
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
never changed that experience for anything.
Nah, absolutely, absolutely, man. And it builds your character. It builds, this adversity builds character. And like you said in the beginning, um, all your experiences, led you to be the man that you are today.
For sure.
So definitely. But just speaking in general terms, man, what's the toughest part about being a coach? On at the NCAA Division I level.
Yeah, you know what? I think time management is huge because obviously I I have a family. I have my kids, uh, but also too I have 13 other kids that I'm
Right,
connected to. You know what I mean? Uh, so I mean, I think time management. Yeah, I mean, I think if you can really manage your time, you can get ahead. Um, but also too, you in terms of recruiting, you get attached to kids that you recruit, and sometimes you got to be able to separate the business from the personal. Uh, it's even when I signed up to doing your show.
right, right,
The guy in the comments said something about Kadari,
right, right, right,
and his mishandling at Syracuse. And and the thing about it is that sometimes things just don't work out for whatever reason. And Kadari got an opportunity to having a fresh start somewhere else where he chose to do, where
right,
he's happy choosing where he's at, and now he gets to go out there and do what he does best and do what he loves. So I think Kadari's happy, and to everybody out there, I think some of his experiences here wasn't all bad. Like, you know what I mean? And so, you again, dealing with that side of it, it makes it difficult, but it also makes it great because I got an opportunity to working with a guy like Kadari Richmond, who is a phenomenal kid every day. Like, you know what I mean?
right, right,
Relationships don't go nowhere.
right, right. Yeah,
Like 10 years from now, I'm able to see Kadari and we can laugh about so many things that happened, during his time here at Syracuse.
right. I mean, like you said, everything is not for everybody.
Right.
So
Yeah, and that's where people, you kind of lose perspective on a lot of things. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And it things work out for the best in that situation. And
right,
I honestly think that Syracuse is going to work out whichever way it's going to work out for us here. but again, it's going to work out for Kadari, whichever way it's going to work out for Kadari, and I think at the end of the day, Kadari is a great player, and he'll be fine.
Absolutely, man. Everything is not for everybody, and things happen. As long as there wasn't any ill will or disrespect or anything like that. Like, hey, you wanna go somewhere else? We respect you and your decisions, and yeah. What else can you do at that point? It's like, hey, we love to have you, but you want out, or you want to go elsewhere, then you honored that, and that's fine.
And at the end of the day, Kay knows that, you know, his, I, me personally, always had his best interest, good, bad, or indifference, because like at the end of the day, that's just like how I would deal with any player,
Right.
a player that I recruited or a player I didn't recruit, just, if you're a part of this family, at the end of the day, that's how I go about it. Like your family, regardless of what happened, I'm always gonna be there, and I'm always will be here, and we'll be attached at the hip for until the day we die. You know what I mean?
Right. Now, were you personally recruiting Kadari since it was a Brooklyn guy?
Yeah.
Was that a personal situation for you?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. And like you said, man, you guys shared, you guys can share stories, laugh about stuff, and I'm sure everything will work out for him. And everybody makes the decisions for what's best for them at the end of the day.
You know what? And at the end of the day, his experiences, he played in a Sweet 16. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, you can't take that back.
take
Can't
that
take
back.
that back.
Like a lot of people can't say that. And a lot of people who have really
Right.
good careers can't say that,
That's a fact. That's a
So,
fact.
it's one of those things where you got to take the good with the bad, and again, I just know like the kid is happy, he's happy, and that's all that matters.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Yeah.
Now I know, from spending all of these years, your playing career and your coaching career around Jim Boeheim, right? It's obvious that you've been able to get to know him really well. Now, what kind of coach is he behind the scenes? Or what kind of person is he behind the scenes? And what is the biggest misconception that you think people have of him?
Yeah, well, the one thing coaches are very loyal dude, Um, and what I mean by loyal is that he can go in the media, and if you're not playing the way you're supposed to play, by all means, he'll rip your new hole in the media. That's just what he is, and that's what he he's a straight shooter,
Mhm.
But at the same time, you as a media person can't rip, you know what I mean? One of his guys, you know,
Right.
and that's one of those things where just he's just a great, he's a player's coach, and a guy that looks out for the best interests of all his players. Uh, the thing that what people don't realize about coaches is that he's probably one of the funniest people that you could be around.
Right.
Got a great personality. Uh, Obviously, once he gets comfortable with you, then you'll get to see that side of him.
Right.
You're not going to just get that off the rip,
Right.
So,
Of course.
yeah. So, and on top of that, no matter where you go in this world, if you need a place to eat, he knows a place, or he can find a place for you.
He could recommend you somewhere.
Dude, it's crazy. Crazy.
Now I know we almost coming to the end of the interview, and I just had one more question for you in terms of your coaching style or your recruiting style, right? and it's known that a lot of New York City players kind of gravitate to your program. But in terms of the kind of your style of recruiting, in terms of the players who you recruit, like what do you look for in a player who ultimately you want to play for you?
Yeah, you know what? That's a great question too, because style and fit is huge when especially when you come into a program. Um,
They got to be able to play that zone, man.
yeah, you got to be first and foremost. You got to be fucking lengthy and athletic. If you ain't that, it's only you got to be that. You got to have some type of length and athleticism to play in our zone. But the one thing too is coachability, and I learned this with Arch at when we were at Dayton, and it was the first time I had to experience it. Is that you got to understand the coach's mentality and who the coach is,
Right.
and then when you're recruiting for that coach, you got to be able to see past the talent and say, can this guy play for Jim Boeheim, Arch Miller, so forth, so forth.
Right.
That's important, regardless of the talent, because sometimes a less talented kid, can get a coach like Arch and Jim and Coach Boeheim. They can get a lot out of them just because of the style,
Right.
and the way who that kid is. So it's so much more than just the talent. Like, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, it got to be the fit too, because
The fit is important. This, like, who they is in terms of the style of play is important. And that's a huge thing. So when I'm evaluating talent, that's the one thing that I look for the most. Because you go to Peace Jam, when you watch two teams at Peace Jam, and it's 10 players per team, so you got 20 players, you got 20 Division I players. Like,
right.
like it's just it is what it is. And it's all levels and stuff. But again, it's 20 Division I players there, and when you think about it, and half of those guys are mid-major to high-major kids. So you got 10 guys that you're sitting there and you're evaluating from. So now you have to start separating them. And how
Right.
to separate them is, it's style, fit, and if can the guy that I work for be able to coach those guys at their worst moment or at their best moment.
We have a lot of like young men who tune into my channel and whatnot. So that right there is going to be huge for the kids out there who are trying to get recruited, and just to hear that kind of feedback and in terms of what a college coach, a high level college coach, is going to be looking for in you. Now, if you have a bad attitude, or you're sulking and you're crying about stuff and whining about stuff, it's not going to be a good fit for you. So they definitely watching that.
Kyle, I'm gonna tell you another thing too. Do what you do best. Don't show me what you can't do. Right? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, it's crazy. Like, I hear the story because I wasn't here when Jeremy Grant was here, but we played against Jeremy Grant, in the NCAA tournament when I was at, and it was one of those things where, the Jeremy Grant that you see now is not the same Jeremy Grant that you seen at Syracuse, but you see the potential in that guy.
Right.
And you know what? And that, like, so, with Jeremy Grant, he wasn't out there shooting 10 threes a game. But Jeremy Grant, every time you seen him, he was out there blocking shots from the weak side.
Right.
Rebounding, in traffic. doing what, continue to do what he did best and show that what he did best translate to the next level. And you know what he did? When he was able to translate to the next level, he expanded his game. And now that's why you see the Jeremy Grant that's out there shooting threes.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? And scoring 25 in games,
Right.
from an offensive end. So, again, you have time to expand your game. And you know what? You don't show me what you can't do. Highlight the things that you do well.
Mm. Like for instance, Patrick Beverly. I think he's from Chicago,
Yep.
Chicago area. So, you know what I'm saying, when he was in high school, he was dropping, 25, 30 a game. You know what I'm saying? But, and in the league, you don't see that because he honed into what the team needed, and he, he sacrificed all of that. He don't need to score. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna make a living. He's gonna get paid millions of dollars just because he honed in on what he did well.
Yeah, no doubt.
Right. So, NBA is giving away millions of dollars to people, people that can do other things than score.
No doubt about it.
You know what I'm saying? They're giving away people to glue guys in the locker room, to people that can rebound or hustle, play defensive guys. So it's
big dudes that can catch the ball. Think about it. If you think about you're the true centers in the NBA right now. Like, all those dudes do is catch lobs. They don't post up.
Right. The post up is over.
They ain't posting up. Those dudes are catching. They're setting ball screens. They roll into the rims and they're catching lobs.
Right.
Catch a lob and you can rebound the ball. You can make $20 million a year.
Right.
DeAndre Jordan.
Perfect example.
Think about it.
And yeah, CP3 made him famous. He made a couple people famous. He made remember, that kid from Dominguez, Tyson Chandler was doing.
Like, think about Amari Stoudemire. And not to say like these guys didn't develop their games and was able to catch the ball on the block, but again, most of their points, if you look at it over the years, was catching ball screen rolls, catch it and dunk it.
Right. You you lose a step, pick and pop now. let's work on that jump shot.
No doubt. So.
Nah, of course, man.
Yeah.
Yo, Al, man, that's it for me, man. My questions. I really appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? You took the time out of your schedule to come kick it with me, and that's big, man. That goes a long way for me. Would you like to leave anybody, the community here with any parting words? You know what I'm saying? From a OG, a Brooklyn OG here, man, that been through the ranks, that been through been through the struggles, been through the all of the stuff that these kids are going through right now, and just happen to make it out on the other side, man. You still here, you're living, you're breathing, and you're still engaged in the game that you grew up loving, and that's a blessing, man. So God bless, man, and I'm gonna leave you to say any parting words to the people out there.
I just think we just need to continue to support the youth and support their creativity. Yeah, it might not look like what we're used to, but obviously the world is changing, let alone basketball. And we have to be the biggest supporters to these kids and their creativity and try to help them and not bash the way they are and who they are. You know what I mean? We got to be supportive because, again, when we were coming up, it was people that probably said the same stuff about us.
Right.
Let's try to create that type of environment where these kids can get the support because they want that. And I'm not be a fan. You could be supportive and disagree at sometimes, you know what I mean?
Right.
But again, when you do that, you agree to disagree, and you guys come to a common understanding. They know where you're coming from. You know where they're coming from, and that will make a better product out there 9 times out of 10.
Nah, well said, man. Allen Griffin, y'all. Allen Griffin, man. I appreciate you, champ.
I know.
All day, man. You know, always repping New York City to the death, man.
Definitely.
We still, you know, we still got the basketball community still got love for you out here, man. And I'm glad I could give you these flowers, man, while you could smell them, bro.
I appreciate it, bro. I really do. And anytime, man, anything that you need, anybody want to hit me up. I'll answer any questions, bro.
No doubt, man. I appreciate you, champ. You stay up, man, and much you know, success in your future endeavors, man.
All right, thank you.
And soon as Coach Boeheim steps down, man, we need to see you right up in there, man. We need that.
All right, definitely. I appreciate it.
All right, be good, man. I appreciate you.
Yep, you too.
That was Allen.